The St. Aldwyn Lighthouse stood like a crooked finger on the northern cliffs of Cornwall, battered endlessly by waves and storms. For nearly 50 years, its keeper, Elias Crowther, had kept the lamp burning. Old, stooped, with a beard white as salt spray, Elias had long since become a fixture of the sea itself. Sailors trusted him more than charts. They said the old man never missed a night, no matter how fierce the weather. On the night of November 2, 1927, a storm unlike any in memory swept the coast. Ships anchored in the harbor watched in awe as the beam of St. Aldwyn cut faithfully through the rain. But when dawn broke, and the storm relented, the lighthouse stood silent. The lamp was still burning, its rotation steady, but the keeper had vanished. A rescue boat was dispatched. The door of the lighthouse was found bolted from the inside. On the kitchen table sat a half-eaten meal of stew and bread. Upstairs, the logbook rested open, the last entry, written in Elias's steady hand. 10:45 p.m. The storm worsens. Strange lights offshore. Must stay awake. There were no further words. Detective Daniel Mercer, called from Brenton, arrived 2 days later. The villagers whispered of curses. Some swore Elias had been claimed by the sea. Others said smugglers had silenced him for what he knew. Mercer preferred facts. Inside the lighthouse he found no signs of struggle. The door showed no forced entry. The windows were barred, and the spiral staircase bore no unusual marks. Yet near the logbook lay a scrap of oilskin paper, torn as though hastily stuffed into Elias's journal. Written in a trembling scrawl, "They come with the tide." Mercer's first task was to speak with those who knew Elias. Captain James Dyer, a fisherman, insisted Elias had grown paranoid in recent weeks. He said ships were passing at night with their lights doused. Smugglers, maybe. He warned me to stay clear, that they watched him from the sea. Mrs. Agatha Pike, the innkeeper's wife, recalled Elias visiting her the week before. He was frightened, detective. He said he'd seen men on the cliffs in the fog, lanterns flashing like signals. He thought they wanted him gone. But who would harm an old man with nothing but soup in his pot? A young dockhand, Thomas Reed, confessed more boldly. The Crowther man was sticking his nose where it didn't belong. There's been trade off those rocks for years, brandy, silk, guns even. He threatened to write the authorities. A storm's a fine excuse for an accident, isn't it? Mercer returned to the lighthouse that night. The wind howled and the sea clawed at the base of the cliffs. As he climbed the spiral stairs, the lantern beam cut across the dark horizon. For a moment Mercer thought he saw it. Too, a faint light flashing from the water. Once, twice, 3 times. A signal. He descended quickly, lantern in hand, and searched the rocks below. In a hidden cove he discovered the remains of a camp charred wood. Empty crates marked with foreign lettering, and a coil of rope freshly cut. Smugglers had indeed used the place. But where was Elias? The breakthrough came when Mercer examined the lantern room more closely. The heavy brass lamp still burned, its mechanism ticking steadily. But on the floor beneath it, he found a smear of blood, almost invisible against the iron. It trailed toward the trapdoor leading outside to the narrow catwalk. There the trail ended. Beyond lay only the churning sea. It seemed Elias had been dragged out, or had fallen, to his death. Yet the bolted door below still puzzled Mercer. If intruders had taken him, how had they left without unfastening it? The answer came from the logbook itself. Leafing through older pages, Mercer found sketches Elias had made of the cliffs. Crude maps with arrows pointing to hidden ledges. One note read Old Smuggler's Passage beneath cellar. Armed with a lantern, Mercer explored the lighthouse cellar. Behind stacked barrels of oil, he uncovered a stone wall, with a fissure wide enough for a man to slip through. The tunnel beyond reeked of salt and rot, and after 50 yards, it opened onto a cave whose mouth faced the sea. The storm had partially collapsed it, but evidence was clear: footprints, lantern soot, and scraps of canvas. This was how Elias's killers had entered, and left without touching the front door. The final piece came when Mercer spoke again with Thomas Reed, the dockhand. Under pressure, Reed admitted he had ferried men to the cave during the storm. They said the old keeper was writing letters, ready to expose the trade. They told me he'd just be frightened, nothing more. I didn't know that his voice broke. Elias Crowther had indeed discovered the smuggler's route. On that stormy night, when the sea concealed all sound, they had climbed through the hidden passage, confronted him, and silenced him forever. Whether they pushed him from the catwalk or drowned him in the cave, the sea had claimed the body, leaving only the lamp to burn on faithfully, as if the old man still stood watch. The smugglers were rounded up within weeks. Some were locals, others foreigners, all complicit in the trade that had haunted the coast for years. Reed turned state's witness, his testimony enough to seal their fate. Yet Elias's body was never recovered. Sailors say that on stormy nights, the beam of St. Aldwyn Lighthouse wavers, as though guided by an unsteady hand, and in the roar of the tide, some claim to hear a voice whispering they come with the tide. In his report, Mercer concluded, Elias Crowther spent his life guiding sailors from danger. On his last night, he stood against men who used the sea for greed. Though the waves took him, his lamp did not falter. It was not the storm that killed him, but silence bought with smuggled coin. May the sea keep his watch forever.